Megan Lozicki, and you're watching News Clues. In today's podcast on media bias, my fellow E-Block AP English language students and I delve into the depths of the Deepwater Horizon oil spill, aka the BP oil spill, and its coverage by CNN, Al Jazeera, and the BBC. In the first portion of today's podcast, Chase Carmichael will give you a brief rundown on the most recent news coverage of the oil spill. Then we will invite marine conservationist Rick Steiner to discuss BBC's coverage of the incident. And finally, in the Are You Serious segment of today's podcast, I will analyze the media bias inherent in the coverage of the BP spill. So let's get spewing. Chase?
On April 20th of this year, British Petroleum's Deepwater Horizon offshore oil rig in the Gulf of Mexico exploded, killing 11 workers and causing the worst oil spill in U.S. history. It was not until July 15th that the leak was capped, and it was not fully secured until September 19th, 2010. In and around that time period, the media has been dedicated to reporting on what Al Jazeera reporter John Tourette has called the biggest environmental disaster in U.S. history. Coverage of the oil spill by CNN, Al Jazeera, and BBC has ranged from reporting on the state of the spill and its environmental repercussions to who is responsible for the incident. Much focus in Al Jazeera and CNN's reporting has been placed on British Petroleum and their responsibility for the incident, while the BBC seems more concerned with discussing how bad the spill actually was. On that note, we invite marine conservationist from the University of Alaska, Rick Steiner, to the set to comment on BBC's article, Gulf Oil Leak, Biggest Ever, but How Bad? Rick, it's a pleasure to have you with us today. Rick?
Well, Chase, I'm delighted to be here.
So what is your take on the BBC's article, Gulf Oil Leak, Biggest Ever, but How Bad?
Well, the gist of BBC's article is that at this time there are too many unknowns in regards to the BP oil spill to be able to accurately predict what sort of environmental impact it is going to have. To be quite honest, I think that this argument is absolutely ridiculous. When over 200 million gallons of crude oil are dumped into a delicate ecosystem, there are going to be repercussions. For evidence, we need only look at past spills. We are still dealing today with the aftermath of the Exxon Valdez spill, which occurred 21 years ago, and the BP oil spill is 20 times the size of the Exxon Valdez spill.
So where do you think BBC is coming from?
BBC's approach to the incident is largely that we will just have to wait to see what happens. It's sort of que sera, sera mentality. Now, to some extent, this mentality is justified, as there is not a whole lot we can do at this time to prevent the repercussions of the spill. However, I believe that the BBC has an ulterior motive. I think that there is a sort of patriotic bias within the BBC's reporting, leading them to defend BP.
And now, Are You Serious with Megan Lozicki? Are you serious?
This past June, CNN aired a video on its show Moose News in the Morning, supposedly reporting on BP oil spill. The video didn't say much about recent developments in the Gulf, however. It focused instead on Tony Hayward's attendance of Cowes Week, a sailing regatta, and President Obama's golf game. The video boils down to 3 straight minutes of ad hominem. CNN spent more time mocking the name of Hayward's boat than it did updating the audience on the state of the spill. Well, that's a red herring if I've ever seen one. CNN, of course, did a fantastic job with their research for the video. As expert consultant, CNN brought on children. CNN interviewed school-aged children on the BP oil spill. Let's take a look at what they had to say.
In the 2 hours it takes to golf or to go yachting, another 1,000 to 10,000 tons of oil could leak out.
They didn't seem prepped. Really, CNN? Are you serious? This is the type of coverage we might expect from The Daily Show or Colbert Report, but not from CNN, the cable news network. Al Jazeera was not much better, however. They too covered Hayward's yachting experience. In their article, BP chief criticized over yacht race. Al Jazeera states the flap over Hayward's attendance at the regatta came as BP's oil collection in the Gulf stalled for 10 hours on Saturday over a problem with a piece of fire prevention equipment. Well, that makes perfect sense. Post hoc ergo propter hoc. The issue with the fire prevention equipment must have occurred because Hayward wasn't in his office. I mean, are you serious?
In review, CNN, Al Jazeera, and BBC's bias in regards to the BP oil spill has manifested itself in a number of ways. While CNN and Al Jazeera's reporting suffers from rhetorical fallacies, the BBC seems a little too eager to diminish the magnitude of the event. From the coverage of the BP oil spill, we learned the importance of reviewing multiple news sources when obtaining information. And remember, just because it's in the news doesn't necessarily mean it's true. I'm Chase Carmichael, and this has been News Clues. Good day to you, America.